Hello, good evening and welcome to News 360 from the News Hub at Adisawe Kanda. I am Portia Gabo.
I am Isa Morning. Coming up now, the headlines for tonight.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by Deluxe Paid, GT Bank,
and Piccadilly Biscuits.
Special prosecutor pushes fresh charges against MP for Boku Central, Mahama Yariga.
Ningo Prom NDC set to witness hot parliamentary contest as constituency chairman faces off incumbent Sam George.
And later in the news, we will explore how mobile photography is impacting the profession.
On the international front, Russia fly fresh shipment of advanced air defense equipment to Turkey. We have details coming up shortly. Do stay with us. And in our very first story, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has brought up new charges against Member of Parliament for Boku Central, Mahama Yariga. The new charges, which mainly hinged on the abuse of public office for private gain by the MP, comes on the back of an ongoing suit of Mahama Yariga. The special prosecutor had begun the prosecution of Boku Central MP after charging him for fraudulently evading tax and dealing in foreign currency without a license. The court had struck out 3 charges leveled against the MP, leaving Ayariga to answer to the charge of using public office for private benefits. The new 6 charges would seem a solidification of the only standing charge by the Office of the Special Prosecutor to have the MP answer fully to the issue of the use of his office for personal profits. The MP in the new suit is alleged to have collaborated with a public officer for the public officer's private profits. Mahama Yariga is going to answer to charges that border on his acquisition of 3 Toyota Land Cruisers with a loan from Parliament. The MP is accused of evading taxes after he paid a duty of just a little over 6,000 cedis when he imported 3 Toyota Land Cruisers instead of approved duty of 35,000 cedis. The special prosecutor accuses the Member of Parliament of selling the 3 Toyota vehicles which were purchased with a loan from Parliament meant for his use as a public officer. The businessman who allegedly assisted the MP to evade taxes is cited in the new suit.
And now, Ningo Prom NDC chairman Michael Kwete Tete has picked nomination forms to contest the party's primaries. He will contest against the incumbent MP Sam George.
The Ningo Prom NDC chairman was flanked by party supporters, branch executives and delegates who are from Pram, Ningo, Afienya, Dowenya, Abekope, Mobole, come to 25, Matayeko, all in the Ningo Pram constituency. The supporters promised to work hard for Michael Kwete Tete to unseat Sam George in the upcoming parliamentary primaries, adding that the current MP has failed to execute his mandate. The current chairman expressed his readiness to contest the primaries.
Party work is about service or servitude, and I've been serving them in various capacities. I've served them as a branch chairman, I've served them as a constituency secretary. I am now serving them as the constituency chairman, and they believe that with the kind of service I've given to them so far, when they elect me as their MP, I will not disappoint them.
The National Democratic Congress will hold its parliamentary primaries on August 22.
Coming up in the story of the week, the alleged sale of the GTV Govern channel to KBL Media is a story TVC News has been following up on the past for the past 2 weeks. In our story of the week today, we focus on a directive by the NCA for the deal to be cancelled, plus events that preceded it. Here's a report by Kwachi Afrenuyama.
I'm not aware that any channel of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation has been sold. I'm not aware of that.
Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah, in an earlier interview, denying any knowledge of the alleged sale of the GTV governed channel. That was on 3rd July when tension was mounting at the state broadcaster. On Monday, July 8, unionized staff of the corporation hoisted red flags at the two main entrances of GBC. Among other things, they demanded swift investigations into some allegations of corruption against management. Workers of the state broadcaster also raised critical questions about what, in their view, is an attempt by management to halt the payment of end-of-service benefits. The workers say this will make them worse off when they retire. The following day, that's on Tuesday, management of GBC organized a news conference to rebut all the allegations. Acting Director General Augustus Yamson described the claims as untrue, indicating that it was by two aggrieved staff who were on a mission to disgrace management.
What is happening in GBC is not backed by the union. Union staff, both the local union executives and the divisional union, don't have a hand in what is happening here. What is happening is the behavior of two disgruntled staff who misbehaved and were punished and were going around to destroy GBC management.
At that news conference, the acting director general also contradicted comments by the information minister that the ministry had not been informed about the deal.
Whatever management decision we take here, if we need to report to the minister, we report to him, this is what we have done. And for that matter, we have reported to him, we have written to him, stated what we have done.
The NMC subsequently summoned the GBC board to a meeting on Wednesday and demanded answers. TV3 news sources within the commission said the board was asked to clarify what exactly it wants to do. Again, the board of the state broadcaster was asked to explain whether the deal was an outright sale. The board maintained that it wasn't a sale but an MOU to partner with KBL Media. The National Media Commission then asked that the entire deal be halted. The commission also called for broad consultations to be conducted before any such decision is taken in future. It is not clear what the NMC's directive would mean for the operations of KBL's Ajimpa TV. By the time of filing this report, it was airborne. For TV3 News, Kwache Afreniama.
Now, unsanitary conditions continue to characterize some markets and lorry stations in Accra. Jocelyn Wood and Charlotte Esiama report traders and drivers blame the situation on delays in collecting the refuse as well as activities of some occupants.
Poor waste management is a common feature at some markets and lorry stations in Accra. At the Kaneshi market, although the surroundings appear to be clean, we chanced on a huge pile of uncollected refuse which we gathered had been left unattended to for days.
We have to contend with this pungent smell every day.
At the Agbubulushi market, pockets of uncollected refuse was a common feature. Gutters were clogged with plastic waste as traders and transport operators expressed concern at the delay in collecting tons of refuse generated daily. The situation is exposing traders and buyers to potential health risks. The deplorable nature of roads in the area is also a source of worry for drivers.
The market is very filthy. Whenever it rains, the market becomes very messy.
The New Plan Station, one of the main departure points at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle in Accra, was slated. The station had no identifiable waste receptacles. Tema Station was our next port of call. We gathered this huge pile of refuse had been left unattended to for days. The situation had led to discharges from the receptacle with an accompanying pungent smell. Portions of the station were littered with solid waste. Drivers lament, although they pay a daily toll of 4 cedis, sanitation is nothing to write home about. They want occupants to adopt good sanitary practices while urging authorities to take steps to improve the sanitation situation.
Large volumes of waste are generated here daily. Outsiders even dump their waste here too. Cutting the refuse is a challenge, although we pay for the service.
For now, it would take concerted efforts from drivers, transport operators, and city authorities to improve sanitation at markets and lorry stations in the country. With waste generation rates set to double over the next 20 years in lower income countries, it behoves on city authorities to adapt sustainable solutions to waste management to mitigate public health risks and protect the environment.
Still on sanitation, the Director of Public Affairs of the Ghana Armed Forces, Colonel Agriquashi, has urged the media and other sanitation campaigners to let their acts promote the change they preach. Speaking at the launch of the 2-year GJA sanitation campaign, he insisted no amount of words will bring a change if the change makers are themselves guilty of what they propagate.
World Health Organization (WHO) and UNICEF reports in May this year showed that over 10 million urban Ghanaians live with unimproved sanitation services. These people, according to the report, are openly defecating, causing serious public health concerns. The World Bank estimated that poor sanitation and poor hygiene cost Ghana $290 million in economic losses each year. Goal 6 of the Sustainable Development Goals targets to achieve universal and equitable access to safe and affordable drinking water, sanitation and hygiene for all, and end open defecation. President Akufo-Addo's declaration of making Accra the cleanest city in Africa by end of 2020 continues to witness mixed reactions. The 2-year campaign by the Ghana Journalists Association (GJA) is therefore seen as a timely intervention and in the right direction.
I want to urge all practitioners to take up that responsibility. That if we are going to lead this crusade in 24 months, we as media practitioners are going to be good examples of people who live in a clean environment.
Director of Public Affairs of the Ghana Armed Forces, Colonel Agriquashi, thinks it will take more to improve on sanitation.
And so we should not make it look as if it's just some group of people that we are talking about. We are talking about ourselves. And so we ourselves should be leading the crusade and letting our household members see that this is what we are talking about, this is what we are practicing, and so look at me and then copy.
He said the GJA campaign can be effective only if the people who are to propagate the message are themselves not guilty of the same offense.
I think that it should be leadership by example. And so you are not only going to write about people not doing what is right or not keeping their environment tidy, but we ourselves. Because if I go on an assignment and there's refreshment, and after the refreshment I leave the pack anywhere at all, then I'm not setting good example. And so if we can practice these things ourselves, then we will feel emboldened to urge other people to do what is right.
Deputy Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Michael Jato, pushed for district assemblies to be given enough powers to effect behavioral change.
The environmental sanitation challenge facing Ghana are fast becoming endemic, and there is the urgent need to decisively deal with them since they have socio-economic and public health implications on the development of this country.
He therefore urged the various metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies to arrest and prosecute those who defy sanitation laws.
From the garbage dumps, let's move onto the roads now. The GPRTU has cautioned trotro drivers against dropping off passengers in the middle of their journey, following concerns raised by some aggrieved passengers. Industrial Relations Officer of Greater Accra GPRTU, Abbas Ibrahim Moro, asked passengers to report such instances for the necessary action to be taken. It's a report by Harry Tete Mensah.
Some passengers lamented over trotro drivers who dropped them off in the middle of their journey. They described the situation, which they say is now rampant, as disappointing. Some passengers expressed their frustrations.
Me a mechanic. Me pentem. I got to pass. I
am in a haste to get spare parts for my job, but they alighted us at Kaneshi and asked us to get another vehicle for our journey, and I could lose something valuable of mine in the course of getting another vehicle.
The loaded circle and other points changed their destination when they got a lot of people going to a particular place. The station managers and GPRTU should help us out.
Station for no GPRTU for me drivers for the Kasama and Gababua.
Trotro drivers admitted the wrongdoing, but explained why they engage in the practice.
Me by Ukraino, a quantum shed and the Sentimental circle near Accra, a boom.
On this journey, I loaded circle in Accra and dropped off those who will earn me little income.
Timbe do a mom doors on a second doors on a second price near good for us in the Medombeco, never Yakra for Namaka.
If you say Accra, they will join. But if you say Kaneshi, they won't join. That's why we say Accra. The law is not allowing us to do that. But the reason why is if the number of the passenger that you took is not enough to take to Accra, the police people are disturbing us too much.
Industrial Relations Officer of Greater Accra GPRTU, Abbas Ibrahim Moro, referring to Article 40 of the GPRTU Constitution, cautioned drivers to desist from such acts and recommended passengers patronize station vehicles.
Our relatives end up paying more than what they are supposed to pay, so we don't encourage that, we don't support that system. If our member is being reported to us, what we do is we investigate to ascertain the fact, and when the facts come out that yes, he really did what he did, if he is supposed to receive any punishment, why not? We have our sanctions in our constitution.
He advised that passengers who encounter such action report to GPRTU for necessary action to be taken.
Let's now go to the Western region, where mining giant Goldfields Ghana has commissioned the reconstructed 33-kilometer road from Takwa to Damine in the region. And the road, which cost $27 million, is the largest public infrastructure project funded by the Global Goldfields Group. A report by Eric J.
The rehabilitation of the 33-kilometer Takwa Daman Road was inspired by Goldfields' Shared Value project of leaving a positive footprint in its operational area. The road is expected to significantly impact the lives of over 40,000 residents by facilitating easy movement, possibility of the springing up of new businesses, and boost income-generating activities among communities. At a commission, CEO of Goldfield, Nick Holland, said the rehabilitated road will help boost socioeconomic activities for communities.
We think it's going to improve the safety and health of everybody who uses these roads, employees and others. And also, it's going to result in a multiplier effect. In other words, it's going to create feeder industries that first and foremost will serve our mines, not just our mines, but other mines in the area. And then in time, these businesses will actually flourish in their own right. They won't need us. They'll create additional industry over time. So I think this is a pivotal moment in our existence.
Western Regional Minister Kobio Chidakumensa said in order for communities not to wait on government for a project, a strategy of public-private partnership is vigorously being pursued.
It is extremely important
to note that government attach a lot of importance to the provision of infrastructure using its own annual budgetary allocation, and also seeking funding from other sources, especially development partners. Consequently, a major strategy as a country is to seek partnerships.
Traditional leaders in the beneficiary communities applauded Goldfields for rehabilitating the road and entreated them to extend it to their town roads. A resident of Huni Valley, Messiahin, was full of praise for Goldfields.
The road does not get muddy anymore when it rains because it has been tarred. We now ply it with comfort.
The road was rehabilitated by 4 local contractors and is expected to last for more than 20 years.
And government loses in excess of $190 million annually as a result of the ineffective implementation of mining laws and payment of royalties. Players in the mining sector say there is the need for a complete overhaul of the Minerals Act to reduce revenue loss in the sector.
Ghana's mining industry is one of the oldest in the sub-region, dating back to 1860, when European concessionaires imported heavy machinery and began working in the western areas of present-day Ghana. Despite centuries of hosting major mining companies, Ghana is reported to have benefited little or nothing from the profits of the companies. The coming into being of the Minerals and Mining Act mandated mineral companies to pay mineral royalties of 5% of the value of gold they mine to the state. This is paid to the large tax units of the Ghana Revenue Authority, which is then paid into the consolidated fund. Royalties have become a large source of government revenue over the years, but experts say the country can earn more if they are rightly collected.
There is a law which stipulates that mining companies who do have the operations in forest reserves are supposed to pay 0.6% more in addition to the 5% royalties that they've paid. So, but if you look at the studies on how many of these mining companies have complied to that, you realize that it is really, really low. On an average, instead of them to pay 0.6%, if you calculate an effective average tax rate, they are paying about 0.2%. So which tells you that there is a 0.4% lag. So for instance, if you want to give the example of Shirano Gold Mines and then Golden Star Resources of Prestia, when you want to look at their 2016 production and then you want to look at the realized prices for gold for that year, if you calculate the effective tax rate, you realize that instead of them to pay about 0.6%, they are paying on an average of 0.2%. So which means that the gap of 0.4% translates into about 190 million US dollars, which is huge money. So if we put in good measures in order to ensure that there is compliance, we will be able to reap more as a nation.
A former CEO of the Minerals Commission, Dr. Tony Obin, said mechanism for the collection of royalties should be reviewed.
I don't think the problem would largely come from the mining companies. It is probably the mechanism, because you can make the policy, you can make the regulations, the mechanism to implement it must also be made to make it effective.
Mining consultant says Bola Shime believes there is the need for strict regulations in the sector.
We started mining gold in this country centuries ago, and it beats my imagination why we don't have a mining revenue management act by now that should be looking at how we can apply whatever is coming, whatever meager benefits that we are getting from this sector, how we apply it to the benefit of communities which are bearing the brunt of this mining activities. It beats my imagination.
Now the news, Tropenbos Ghana is exploring means to ensure revenues from the sale of timber products are fairly shared while addressing the concerns on the utilization of forest royalties by local assemblies. Through community engagement, the assemblies are being monitored to avoid the misapplication of the funds. A report by Benjamin Adu.
Tropinbos Ghana, with support from the European Union, organized a town hall meeting on timber royalties for forest fringe communities in Atebubu, Kintampo, and other communities in the Bono East region. The two organizations are currently advocating change in forest governance and management of natural resources, as well as disbursement of forest revenue. The engagement afforded community members the opportunity to demand accountability from the District Assembly on how forest resource revenues have been used to the benefits of the people. The Atebubu Amenti Municipal Chief Executive Edward Owusu assured the people of fair disbursement of timber royalties.
When we get it, we classify it as some of our IGF. So we use it to embark on development projects. The 40-bed capacity ward in the hospital, the street light, one slot, we use that IGF for it. For people to know that we are using their own money for development projects, for them to see.
Director of Tropinbos Ghana, Mary Owusu expressed worry about the fast depletion of the country's forests. She reiterated the organization's commitment to ensuring the protection of forest reserves in the country.
For us, forestry is not just about trees. It is more about people than trees. And the people aspect is very, very important, because at the end of the day, it is the people who are going to protect the forest, who are making sure that it is well conserved, who are making decisions about whether the forest should be sustainable or not.
National Program Coordinator of the EU Non-State Actors Project, Daniel Kofi Abu, was optimistic the town hall meetings will help the country better understand how public funds are disbursed.
When you look at the Ghana Forest Law, there's a revenue mechanisms, how revenues are disbursed. And sometimes communities do not understand where forest revenues are being sent to. There's an allocation for the District Assembly, there's an allocation for the Office of the Steward Lands, then there's that royalty that goes to the chiefs. So this platform was to afford the communities to be able to demand accountability in terms of revenue distribution.
Under the program, an independent monitoring platform has been developed for real-time monitoring for communities to send alerts about infractions in forest resource management.
You're watching News 360, and still to come tonight, we'll explore how mobile photography is impacting the profession.
On the international front, Russia fly fresh shipment of advanced air defense equipment to Turkey.
We'll return shortly with some more. Stay with us.
Mission is supported by the Star Ghana Foundation with thanks to Danida, UK Aid and the EU. In the maiden season of Journey to the West, Mission highlighted challenges Samuel Abogasigli endured traveling in a wheelchair from the University of Cape Coast UCC in the Central Region to Setri Bekwai in the Western North Region. Well, a year after this report, accessibility at UCC has improved and Samuel is also empowered to impact more lives at Setri Bekwai, having returned home upon completing his first degree. And in the first part of Journey to the West Season 2, Spencer Kwabna Boate Mensah has details of the story.
Who can say where the road goes?
It has been over a decade since the Persons with Disability Act, Act 715, was passed, but persons with disability are yet to feel its full implementation, especially in their quest to access education and public services. The Act provides that public places are made accessible to persons with disability, a provision that many public offices and institutions fought with impunity. But a year after the report, Journey to the West featured Samuel Abogazigri, a wheelchair user from the University of Cape Coast, changes have occurred on campus. Samuel is gone home after completing his 4-year degree program here at UCC and may not continue to benefit from the effects following the disability advocacy peace journey to the West. But there is one surety: he leaves behind legacies that shall benefit continuous and potential students with disability. One is, there is a cover laid over this gutter that links the two lecture theatres, the C.A. Aka Lecture Theatre Complex and the Arts Block. Previously, it was a huge challenge connecting these two lecture theatres for persons with disability. Accessing the ICT Center at the Sam Jonah Library was a battle for Samuel until GIFEC provided personal laptop computers to members of the UCC Association of Students with Disability, which Samuel benefited from. Things shall, however, not be the same for fresh students with disability. When you see a long yellow line here at UCC extending into the Sam Jonah Library, there are some things you should know. 1. The space is a reserved passage for students with disability to get access to the main library. 2. When offering help to students with disability to the ICT Center, follow the yellow line through the main library where a working elevator is supposed to convey them down into the center for IT services. Before, the long yellow mark was invisible. Cars parked on it and persons with disability had to maneuver their ways through vehicles to the library. Additional fences have been provided at some vantage points around the library to offer protection for students with disability. Before the report, pavements on campus were insufficient for a smooth wheelchair ride, and most of the available ones also failed to adequately perform the duty of making the environment disability friendly. With most pavements on the Sasakawa streets having block edges, they proved difficult for students with disability to access them. Now, pavements on campus have seen a facelift. More and more pavements have been fixed, and over here there is a proper separation between vehicular road and pedestrian walkway. This provides safety for all, including wheelchair users and students with visual impairments. Students with disability who reside in residential halls at the new site of the university campus could now access pavements from their halls to lecture theatres without having to share the road with vehicles. Broken pavement blocks are ready to be fixed before the 2019-2020 academic year begins, promising more accessibility for students with disability. The 2018-2019 attention to disability advocacy during their tenure. For the first time in nearly a decade, the SRC Disability Day received a massive national publicity with the full coverage for Let's Talk Ability on TV3, engaging more stakeholders. Let's put our hands together and welcome the Cape Coast School for the Deaf and Blind.
1, 2, 3, let go!
For a better ride, commuting from Cape Coast in the Central Region to Sefi Bekwai in the Western North Region is preferred through Kumasi in the Ashanti Region to Western Regional Capital Takoradi. I am here at Sefi Bekwai in the Western North Region to see Samuel. Samuel enjoyed hard times accessing infrastructure at the University of Cape Coast during his school days. Samuel has completed. Among other questions, I'm going to ask him this. Samuel, after school, what's next?
After completing 4 years of education at the tertiary level, you are required to serve the nation within a period of a year. And I'm hoping that I'm posted into an institution that will provide me the avenue to work conveniently without any obstacle.
And Mission indeed gets results. We'll bring you part 2 of Journey to the West tomorrow during Mission. And that's it for Mission. Mission is supported by the Star Ghana Foundation with thanks to Danida, UK Aid and the EU.
And now, the advent of mobile photography, as you all know by now, has changed the traditional way of picture taking. Now, with just a click on the camera icon, hundreds of pictures could be captured on your phone. But does this signal the extension of professional photography? Stephanie Lai has more.
Taking pictures at events. But times have changed. Mobile photography is permeating society, and with a modern mobile phone device, everyone is a photographer. Kelly Rain is a professional photographer. He's been in this business for more than 10 years. Even though he admits that mobile photography has been a game changer in the photography profession, he does not see the extension of a photography business, since there is more to photography than just taking pictures.
Photography in itself is versatile, but the business of it is also a different ball game as to mobile phones and then the camera we use.
Photography has evolved with the first electric flash, first commercially successful 35mm film, the Polaroid camera, and the Kodak Instamatic. Today, smartphone camera technology has reached a point where most devices are good enough to produce images for newspaper front pages, used in a professional capacity at a wedding or to document major sporting events. Yao Lejepo is head of photography at NAFTI.
When you talk of celluloid image creation, it's very cumbersome. You have to capture the image. You don't even see what it is that you have captured. You have to go, because it's a latent image, you have to go through the lab to develop, process, and print before you're able to see exactly what it is that you have captured. So if there are errors, you'll not be able to even see them. But with the advent of technology, or with the heroes of technology, it's rather have made image creation very simple. Now everybody is an image creator. Once you have a phone with a camera, you are image creator. And the impact of that on traditional image creation is that it's been able to open up the space to allow more people to come into the space of image creation.
Apps like Instagram have also polarized the experience of mobile photography, making it more accessible and social than before. The existence of filters and editing apps on mobile phones has made photography creative, flexible, and easier.
Mobile phones has not affected photography and will not and cannot. There are certain type of photography or angles that you will need for a particular project. Let's say if it's sports photography, or if it's wildlife photography, or it's architecture photography, you can't use a phone because those kind of photographies use different lenses and different types.
I feel the industry of photography will thrive. Why? Because if you're able to market yourself very well, if you're able to brand yourself very well, then you still thrive. So yes, phone is in, but I don't think phone can ever substitute the quality of pixels we get from professional camera.
People still have their photo shoots done by professional photographers. Your weddings and your birthday, special events, you can't say you want to use your phone. But then again, the mobile phone, like the camera, has taken over, because when people buy phones, they look forward to having the best picture quality, but it hasn't affected it anyway. Trust me, photographers are still making money in this era. So yes, I'll go for my professional photography.
With digital technology shaping the face of photography, what will the future of professional photography be?
Feel like posing for a shot with a brand new camera. You're watching NEWS360. We'll return shortly. Thousands of revelers were thrilled to a marathon of musical performance when the Unia FM Festival train stormed the Nungwa Blejo Homowo Festival. Now, Broken Heart hit maker Ni Funny, Screwface, Brandy Boy, Teshi Boy, and other homegrown talent got on stage to ensure an unforgettable Homowo music jam. Now, file this report.
Several underground artists thronged the forecourts of the Nungwa Traditional Authority to try their fate on making it to the list of opening acts. A good part of the show was devoted to these artists who took turns to entertain the thousands of attendees. Screwface, Bandy Boy and Tissue Boy stepped in to give the exciting show a different level of excitement. Amid some dance moves, the Broken Hearts hitmaker Nee Fanny crowned up performers for the night. To many of these underground artists, the event was a springboard for their budding talent.
Greatest opportunity every upcoming artist can ever get. You won't get it anywhere. It's just to boost your career, right? So going on the stage and doing my own thing just really lifted my spirit.
It's very great to be on the stage because this is very important and very big stage for me, just to showcase my talents and what I got to Ghana.
Yes. So much underground artists performing on stage, and I was very, very proud. So I feel you guys should keep on doing this to help the up and coming artists because they are the future.
So what's his name?
I'm sure it's Tissue Boy.
Tissue Boy, it's original. Right, that's it for this edition of News 360. Follow us for more updates on 3news.com. I am Isa Moni.
And I am Portia Gabo. Enjoy the rest of our programs. Good evening.